16th District Congressman from Illinois. It's Adam Kinzinger. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
All by myself, just like Eric Carmen saying at one point.
That's sad. More coffee for you, and you don't have to listen to Riley going crazy, so that's nice.
Yeah, I do mention that I do get the coffee to myself, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I must tell you.
No, that's not. Except until tomorrow or whenever he gets back, you're going to have to share again, and that's going to be tough.
Oh, where do we start? Oh, my goodness. The world is quite literally on fire. The president golfing yesterday. I know it's been a long time since he got on the links, and nothing else has happened around the world, so a good golf game yesterday on Sunday for the president. The president's speech on Friday, or the address on Friday on the plane being shot down over eastern Ukraine. What did you take away from the president's address on Friday?
Not much. I mean, look, it's the old president Nero fiddles as the world burns, and I see a guy that wants to try to, he really somehow likes this idea that everything he does is quote unquote measured. A measured response. We're not going to be like that old George W. Bush that would have bombed everything. We're going to be measured and mature. In reality, what's happening is you have Tony Abbott from Australia, you have David Cameron from the UK that are coming out more hawkish than our president, basically saying, look, guys, this is a serious situation. We've got to be dead serious about this. This is getting bad, and Russia needs to be held accountable. So, the president has done nothing to really send a strong message to anybody that he's serious about taking on the Putin threat and the Russian threat. It's just like he likes to be seen as this quote-unquote measured guy. In reality, all that's happening is the United States is being less and less feared. And when the United States is not feared and we retreat from the world, we see chaos and the Russians and everything else follow. So, today it's a very bad situation in Russia, and I think there's a lot of steps we can take to be much tougher.
Speaking of leadership, Congressman, Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, I think was on CNN's State of the Union yesterday, and was asked about this, and she said, we really need Germany to get out and lead on this. We need Germany to step up and be a leader on addressing Russia. Odd, I thought, for a sitting senator. And this, there are certain situations where other countries are quite important to how we deal with foreign policy. But this particular one, I mean, we're asking Germany to take a lead role in this?
Yeah, and that's the point. I mean, this is a Democrat, frankly, view, which is, we're done, we're beleaguered, we're tired of leading, let Europe lead. Europe can't lead. I mean, Europe couldn't even really lead in World War II, if you think about it. I mean, back when, and even in, it's always taken the United States to come in and coalesce people. Now, we can sit around and complain about that fact that Europe is not willing to lead, but we can appreciate the fact that we have a nation that's been given so much and is so good that, to whom much is given, much is required. The world naturally looks to us to coalesce the allies. I mean, Germany doesn't have a moral compass like the United States does. Their focus is on economic gain, and that's what they're going to be worried about. And so, of course, you talk about sanctions, it's going to have a slight impact on the economy, and that's all they're concerned with. They're not concerned with what's right and wrong here. So it is very amazing to me. Now, I agree Germany needs to take a bit of more of an interest, and they need to get more involved. But to sit around and say, well, they need to lead, and if the lack of them leading means that we don't, is frankly ludicrous. And it's an ideology that's, really reminds me of kind of the Jimmy Carter and now Barack Obama philosophy of world leadership, which is one that within 10 or 20 years we're going to look back and say, boy, that was the worst administration we've ever had.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. The one thing the president asked for on Friday, the one thing he wanted was a full, unfettered, unencumbered investigation. Let's let the investigation take part into the plane crash, into the plane being shot down. It looks like that certainly will not happen. Has not happened over the weekend. He had apparently some of the rescue workers being fired upon as they got close to some of the wreckage. If it turns out that Russia, Vladimir Putin's meddling in this investigation, if it turns out that there is some real proof that Russia supplied these missiles to the rebels in eastern Ukraine, what would be the appropriate response?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that is the case, and then the president, in his typical fashion, says, well, we need a full accounting, full investigation, which all sounds great. Yeah, of course we need that. But we basically know what happened now. It's the president's way of buying time and then letting this kind of fall off the front page and America's anger wane, so that he doesn't have the pressure to do anything. He can put the pressure and say, well, let's get this. We know what happened, and I think what needs to happen now is we need to make it very clear that this is no longer, an internal fight within Ukraine. This is obviously spread into Europe and with an American on board into the United States. And so we are committed to helping the Ukrainians push back and push out this pro-Russian insurgency. So that includes arming the Ukrainian military, giving them light and heavy weapons that they need, giving them the intelligence that they need so we know where a lot of Russian stuff is. We know how to defeat Russian incursions and everything. And let's give them the ability to do that, the ability to be able to fight back and push out the Ukrainian military. And but that's going to take some tough leadership. It's going to take some tough words from Vladimir Putin. It's going to take a president that can stand up to him, which I'm not sure really exists right now.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. We move to the Middle East, Israel and Gaza. There was an attempt, I guess, overnight or yesterday at a 2-hour ceasefire, and Hamas could not even abide by that. They started firing rockets into Israel during the 2-hour ceasefire. So I can't see how a longer-term ceasefire, at this moment at least, is going to function.
No, I mean, this is the definition of insanity, or, repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's exactly right. I mean, keep in mind, if this was happening from Mexico or Canada, the United States would not show near as much restraint as Israel has shown. They're being attacked constantly. They respond by, calling a house that they're going to bomb 2 hours ahead of time and saying, get out, we're going to bomb. Mm-hmm. It's been pretty incredible. So I think Israel has every right to defend itself here. I think it has every right to move into the Gaza Strip and take out all of the opponents to Israel, the ones that are launching these rockets. I think it has every right to do that, and they have the full support of me, and I think most of the United States behind them. And I think it's going to be our job now to stand up to moves in the UN to try to condemn Israel, as always happens, after something like this. And we've seen over and over again, every time there's a ceasefire put into place, Hamas breaks it. They don't want peace at all. They want Israel destroyed, which is the whole basic tenor of us of people trying to get to a two-state solution in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu said, fine, 2 states. But that other state has to agree that Israel has a right to exist. And that's been the stumbling block. The Hamas and the Palestinians will not say that Israel has the right to exist, too. So you can't negotiate with people that don't think you even have the right to exist.
Is this unfortunately a pattern that simply may continue every 5 or 6 years? Israel has to send ground troops into Gaza to knock down these tunnels that have been tunneled into Israel. There was all this. They wanted concrete. They wanted cement to be able to be delivered into Gaza for ostensibly, I think, hospitals or construction. Turns out that was all used to build these tunnels.
Yeah, it's a pattern. I mean, this is what you're dealing with, an enemy that isn't interested in building schools. It's just like what we have with the Taliban in Afghanistan or ISIS in Iraq. They're not interested in building schools or governing or water towers. They're interested in ruling with an iron fist and killing somebody who happens to be walking down the street with his girlfriend holding her hand. I mean, that's exactly what these folks want. So we've got to come very wide-eyed and very clear-eyed into, this 21st century war that's going on, which is not just a matter of the only reason they're attacking us is because they have grievances. It's the reason they're attacking us is because they disagree with how we live. And that's why, we have to stay strong. We have to stay vigilant.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK, representing Illinois' 16th District. We're heavy on the foreign policy this morning. United States, 5 other countries agree Sunday to extend the deadline with Iran toward dismantling its nuclear development program. Now, this was put in place. They eased sanctions, and Iran said, "Okay, by this date, we'll do this," and they haven't. But we give them 4 more months.
Yeah, they not only said by this date we have to do this. They said if we don't do this by this date, I'll be the first person to come in and ask for more sanctions. Okay, guess what? We're not here. There are wide differences between where Iran is and the United States is. Big shocker. I'd have told you, and probably if we checked the tapes, I probably told you 6 months ago that I didn't think this was going to happen. And this is where we're at. So if in 6 months the Iranians weren't compelled to get rid of their nuclear weapons program, what are we going to think that another 4 months is going to buy us, besides an opportunity for the president to try to get some kind of a victory by giving away everything but claiming that he got Iran to not go nuclear? I mean, this is the biggest joke and a threat to Israel, a threat to the Western way of life. And I'm frankly really hope that Congress steps up and overrides the president on this one. But, Democrats have frankly given a lot of lip service to Israel, but when it comes to overruling their president, they're just not willing to do it.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us here. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. I'm hoping you caught the front page story on the Washington Post yesterday. Obama aides warned of brewing border crisis. We've talked a lot about this border crisis, unaccompanied minors, unaccompanied teenagers in some cases, tens of thousands coming across the border this year alone. This Washington Post story is damning, Congressman. It says that the administration, the White House, was warned numerous times by numerous agencies, by Texas Governor Rick Perry, by ICE, by others on the border that said, well, you have this big problem happening. It's only going to get worse. And the White House reaction was to ignore it because, A, they wanted to win in 2012, and B, they were more concerned about passing a law, passing this the Senate's comprehensive immigration bill and actually securing our borders and keeping these kids safe. It is a dangerous trip, and they were encouraging it by not doing anything to prevent this from happening. I thought a very damning piece in the Post yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, is it any real surprise that the administration would put politics in front of what's good for this country? I mean, this is all they do. I mean, it's the whole issue of why didn't they come clean on Benghazi? Because there was an election around the corner. Why is it that they didn't come clean on what's going on in the border? Because, it has to do with election and politics. And this is all they think about. The president was never steeped in leadership. He voted president all the time when he was at the state Senate. All he knew about was how to win elections. And frankly, he's pretty good at that. But that's not a talent that at the end of the day I don't want to just say was the only thing I was good at. So, yeah, I think as more comes out, it's going to make the administration look terrible. It's very obvious that all they care about is the politics of it, and that the kids on the border is nothing more to them than an opportunity to go forward on some other routes. I think it's important that we have to deport these children. As terrible as this story is, you have to deport them to send a message that it's not worth sending your kids on this very dangerous journey. And I think that's what we've got to do. But yeah, I think there's going to be more information even coming out about this administration that makes them look bad. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure he overly cares anymore.
Congressman, the president's made a request for about $4 billion in money to address the situation, although it's not to address the problem. It's only to address those who are already here. $1.8 billion for HHS to house the children, $1.6 billion for HHS and Justice to speed immigration hearings, but it doesn't address the problem, which you have said many times needs to be fixed before we move forward with any kind of immigration reform, and that is border security and making sure that this doesn't happen again. None of that money, virtually none of that money, goes towards that purpose. Do you think a majority of the House feels the same way?
Oh, yeah, I think they do, and you're not going to see $4 billion requests. I mean, why would we spend $2 billion to house people that are here illegally when we could deport them for much cheaper? I think what you're going to see is probably a significantly pared-down version. We're going to have to put some money into this crisis. I think that's obvious. But we're going to repeal the provision in the 2008 law that basically requires they have a long hearing, and we're probably going to speed up to just a few days the period at which they have their hearing, their deportation hearings, which is something that needs to happen to get these, young folks, unfortunately, have to get them deported. It's the right thing to do. So Congress is going to move on something. The question is the president going to accept it, or are the Democrats going to accept it? That remains to be seen. I think at the end of the day they have to, but they're going to make some noise that, we're, young children and trying to pull on our human heartstrings, which rightfully can be pulled on, but, we have a right to defend ourselves. We have a right to have an immigration policy, and when we have an open southern border, we don't have it. We've got to secure this border.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger with us here. We appreciate the time. I hope we can talk about some better stuff, some brighter stuff in a couple of weeks. This is a lot of bad things happening around the world right now.
Yeah, I do too. And every day I wake up and I'm wondering what the next shoe is to fall, especially on foreign policy. And it always seems to be something. If we had a president that actually stood up and was tough, I don't think we'd be dealing with all this.
Real quick, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Secretary of State John Kerry got caught in a hot mic moment on Fox News Sunday yesterday, kind of making fun of Israel's operation in Gaza. Do you have any confidence in him to actually do that job, Secretary of State?
No. No. He decided that his number one achievement was going to be Israeli-Palestinian peace. when you had a civil war in Syria, ISIS taking over in Iraq, Iran with close to a nuclear weapon, and the rest of the Middle East talking about developing one because of Iran. And he said the most important thing was Israel and Palestine. So I don't trust his judgment by any means.
All right. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, appreciate the time this morning. We'll chat again soon.
Of course. Great talking to you.
It was Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Illinois' 16th Congressional District.